Whenever people tell me about their worst weekends, I always hesitate to tell them my story. Let me tell you about it, and you decide whether it was really bad or I just imagined things. I met a girl 4 months ago at a party. Her name was Cassie. She was so pretty, funny, and smart. I liked her from the get-go. We spent the entire evening talking about everything and nothing, laughing and dancing. Soon enough, we were dating. The relationship moved from one phase to another at lightning speed. We were practically living together between 2 apartments. Her parents invited me over for Thanksgiving. She was cool about it and told me not to feel stressed or pressured because her parents were accustomed to meeting her boyfriends. They didn't treat each one as a potential husband. Besides, they knew and respected her desire to build a decent career first. She hadn't been home for half a year and really wanted to see her family and show me the house and the area she grew up in. I didn't really mind, so we booked our tickets and flew into Virginia from Boston. Her parents lived in a tiny town, which was about 3 hours' drive from the airport. So we rented a car and drove there. On the way, we stopped at a diner for a quick coffee and some morning pie. I was chatting with Cassie when I noticed that a guy at the table behind Cassie was just staring at me. At first, I thought I was wrong, but the more I glanced over, I just knew. He wasn't eating or anything, just sitting there and looking at me. I told Cassie about him. She looked back and said she had never seen this guy before. She agreed that it was weird. Instead of asking him why he was so into me, we decided to leave as we finished our coffee and had no more reason to stay. When we got into the car, I looked up and saw the same guy was now standing next to the entrance glass door, still staring at me. Weird. The rest of the trip went without a hitch. Nice conversation, good music, great scenery. Just a perfect trip. When we finally got to her house, her parents were sitting on the porch. They were both 75 years old, but looked way younger. Both of them were retired pharmacists. They were nice, maybe a bit too nice, as both of them hugged and held me in their arms a bit more than I felt comfortable with, rubbing my back and belly. The rubbing part was really weird. I guess they were happy and excited to meet me. The day went sort of well. Cassie's twin brother Nick and his girlfriend joined us an hour later. All the women disappeared into the kitchen preparing dinner. Cassie's father, Nick, and I went back to the porch with beers. We were chatting about life in cities versus life in small towns. Her father made a comment that there was way too many weird people in cities. So naturally, I told them about the guy who was staring at me at the diner just an hour drive from their town. "We don't know him," hurriedly replied her father. I looked at him a bit surprised, not knowing what he meant, but he rushed to explain himself. I probably meant that man had some psychological problems, but I haven't heard about this particular guy. I know there is a woman who lives in our town who spends 2 hours every morning standing in front of the library saying hi to every person who comes out of the library. She's kind of famous and doesn't do any harm, so we know about her, but not about your guy. We talked a bit more. Nick was quiet for most of the conversation and way into his phone, constantly chatting with somebody. I guess that person was more interesting than me or his dad. The dinner went well, I guess. Cassie, her mom, Nick's girlfriend, and I were talking and laughing. Nick was still quiet, and Cassie's father was either spacing out or worried about something. I couldn't really tell. Her mom was nice to me, but whenever I said something to her, she wouldn't look at me. I didn't know if she didn't like me or if it was just her way. Luckily, the dinner didn't last long, and the day was over. I could retreat with Cassie into her room and talk to her. I shared my worries that her mom didn't like me. "Are you serious? She loved you. She just gets awkward around younger people that she likes. They don't hang out with young people, you know. Just give it another day. She'll come around. You have nothing to worry about," replied Cassie, and went to take a shower. I still wasn't entirely convinced that her parents liked me, but decided not to be bothered and went on checking my Facebook feed. About 10 minutes later, Cassie's phone, which was on the bedside table, received a new message. The screen lit up, and I noticed that it was a message from her mom. I couldn't resist the temptation of reading it. What if her mom was telling her that she should stop seeing me? But what I read was even worse than finding out that her mother hated me. The message changed the rest of the night, and my life as well. The message said, "Does he suspect anything yet?" And then a new message. "He saw Jack at the diner. What did you tell him?" I heard Cassie say something, so I rushed to put the phone back where it was, even as a new message popped up. "Do you want a glass of wine to celebrate the successful end of the day?" said Cassie, coming out of the shower. My heart was pounding like crazy. Does he suspect anything? He saw Jack at the diner. The words were rushing through my head. I couldn't make what they meant. "Baby, are you all right?" asked Cassie. "What? Yeah, sorry, I just had a weird flashback to a family Thanksgiving dinner when I was a kid. My dad was drunk and it was awful," replied I. "Do you want to talk about it over a glass of wine?" asked Cassie. "No, I'm good. In fact, I'm so tired. Let's just go to bed." Cassie got her phone, read the messages, texted something back, turned off the lights, and was soon fast asleep, unlike me. I couldn't fall asleep, wondering about those messages and that man Jack, whom her family knew but refused to admit it. Should I tell her that I saw the messages? Should I wait till we get back? An endless train of thoughts was going through my head. At about 3 in the morning, I heard Cassie get up, but do it very quietly. She sat on the bed for what seemed eternity, then walked to the door and got out. I heard her go downstairs, and somebody follow her soon after. This all started to freak me out. I quietly got out of the room and went to the staircase. I heard voices coming from the kitchen, but I couldn't hear what they were talking about. I went down a couple of stairs until I could hear Cassie's voice. "I'll go first. You just wait for my signal right outside," said Cassie. Her mother said something, but I couldn't hear what. That was enough for me. I quietly rushed back into the room to grab the few things I had, my wallet, phone, and keys from the car. When I bent over to grab my trousers, I noticed there was something in the corner. I turned on the lamp and saw Cassie's brother sitting in a chair looking at me without any expression on his face. "Don't touch me! Don't touch me!" I screamed and rushed downstairs and out of the house. I ran to the car, got in, and drove away. 10 minutes later, I got a message from Cassie asking me what happened and where I was going. I didn't reply. I got to the airport and bought my ticket. Once I was on the airplane waiting for takeoff, I messaged Cassie back, telling her that I knew what she and her crazy family wanted to do, and that she should disappear from my life. If she didn't, I would call the police. I don't know if there was anything suspicious, or I just freaked out for no reason. I definitely have no idea what her family wanted to do to me, or if they wanted. But tell me, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Maybe there was nothing going on and they were not planning to harm me. But after that message I wrote to her, she just disappeared from my life. She had a few things at my apartment, and I had my stuff at hers, but we never contacted each other to get them back. I saw her once at a party, but as soon as she saw me, she just left.